How safe are we when flashing patrol lights signal protection? But what if the one behind the wheel isn't a guardian, but a predator? On December 8, 2022, Justin Evans, a man with a dark past, was sentenced to life in prison for kidnapping and rape by impersonating a police officer. Join us on this episode of Urban Crime Stories as we unravel the chilling tale of deceptive shadows, exposing the darkness behind a fake badge and the victims ensnared in its twisted illusion. Due to the nature of this case, the victims' names will not be disclosed. Justin Evans, hailing from a fractured upbringing and grappling with multiple diagnosed mental disorders, carried the weight of a substantial criminal history. His arrest in 2022 exposed him as a perpetrator of a crime so brutal and vicious, regrettably more prevalent than our society acknowledges. On December 8, 2022, the judicial verdict declared Justin Evans guilty, and he was subsequently sentenced for offenses encompassing robbery, kidnapping, false imprisonment, and sexual assault. While his victim survived the ordeal, this narrative serves as a somber reflection on the harsh realities woven into the fabric of our society. The police are supposed to be a symbol of safety and security, but the reality is often different. The sight of a police officer or patrol car can evoke fear, even among law-abiding citizens. We may wonder if we are in danger or whether we are doing something wrong. In a society that values freedom and liberty, this paradox is striking and worth exploring. Why do we feel anxious in the presence of those who are meant to protect us? So if most people don't fear the police, why do they feel nervous in their presence? The answer may be that, consciously or unconsciously, we associate police officers with authority and power, which can be intimidating. Even when we have done nothing wrong, we may feel the need to behave more cautiously in their presence, as if we were being judged or evaluated. This paradox reveals a lot about our relationship with power and authority in society. In a shocking turn of events, a man posing as a police officer made a routine traffic stop that would change the lives of 3 people forever. What began as a routine stop ended in an unimaginable tragedy. A deception that betrayed the very principles the police represent: protection and service. The false police officer was driven by darker motives, shattering the delicate balance of trust between the police and the people they serve. How did this happen, and what can we learn from it? On the ominous night of August 9, 2021, 3 friends left the comfort of their homes to share a night out on the town. They expected nothing but a pleasant night of conversation and laughter. But as the minutes ticked by, an uneasy feeling began to creep in. A car seemed to be following them, and the longer they were shadowed, the more unsettled they became. As the minutes stretched into hours, the friends wondered if the driver's intentions were sinister, and if they would make it home safely. The women were no doubt unnerved by the presence of the fake police car, a 2016 Chevrolet Malibu adorned with dash-mounted LED lights. The car appeared to be mimicking the behavior of a real police cruiser, flashing its lights and drawing close before pulling back, adding an unsettling layer to the unfolding events. While the exact emotions experienced by the women in response to the proximity of this vehicle remain unknown, the circumstances looming ahead likely cast an aura of discomfort. The car trailing the women suddenly pulled to a stop, and a large, bearded man dressed in dark clothing emerged, flashing a badge and identifying himself as a police officer. He explained that he was conducting a narcotics investigation and ordered the women to step out of their vehicle. The women must have felt a mix of fear and confusion, unsure of what to do or how to respond. Was this man really a police officer, or was he just pretending to be one? Could they trust him, or were they in danger? Once outside of their car, the officer placed one of the women in handcuffs and made the other 2 women place their hands on the hood of the car. While some sources state that plastic handcuffs were used, others suggest that a necktie was used to bind her wrists. No matter what the method of restraint, the woman was placed in the back seat of the vehicle and driven away while the other 2 women were left at the scene. Though she was arrested on charges of marijuana possession, it was clear that something more sinister was taking place. Arrested under the guise of law enforcement for the alleged possession of marijuana, they were thrust into the imposter's vehicle, setting in motion a sequence of events that would plunge them into a chilling ordeal. As they sought to secure bail for their detained companion at the Orient Road jail, a stark reality awaited. Their friend had never entered the system. No records bore her name or description, and the supposed officer had left behind a trail of deceit. The other women were now more worried than ever. Something strange was going on, and they couldn't get any answers from the authorities. Had their friend been taken by some rogue officer, or was there some other explanation for her disappearance? The lack of information only made them more concerned, and they began to wonder what they could do to find her. In the ghastly aftermath of being deceived by the imposter's cloak of authority, the abducted woman found herself thrust into an abyss of horror the moment the vehicle doors closed. Testifying from the witness stand, she recounted the chilling sequence of events, emphasizing that, throughout the nightmarish ordeal, she never wavered in her belief that her assailant was a legitimate police officer. The illusion of legitimacy extended to a laptop computer strategically positioned next to the driver's seat, a macabre prop enhancing the illusion of an official police vehicle. As the vehicle started its ominous journey, the imposter insidiously conveyed the gravity of her predicament. He asserted that she was in serious trouble and, exploiting the vulnerability of her predicament, demanded compliance to evade incarceration. The woman vividly described the harrowing turn of events. In a parking lot near a Tampa apartment complex, her hands were finally freed from the handcuffs, only to be subjected to a heinous act of sexual assault. Recounting the trauma, she uttered words that bore witness to the unimaginable violation she endured. "He made me lay on my back, and he put his mouth everywhere." The dichotomy between confronting a rogue law enforcement officer and a deranged psychopath became starkly apparent. The victim's plea for help and revelation of her ordeal fell on deaf ears when the perpetrator's vehicle ran out of gas. Despite reaching out to a group of nearby men, her desperate attempts to convey the horror she had just endured were met with disbelief and indifference. Fear immobilized her. The specter of a chase, or worse if she attempted to flee, paralyzed her. In her own words, "My worst fear is that I take off running and somebody chases me down or tries to kill me, so I just stayed." The assailant, seemingly unperturbed by the gravity of his actions, refueled his vehicle, callously continuing as if the night's atrocities were mere figments of imagination. He nonchalantly returned the traumatized woman to the very location where he had feigned her arrest hours earlier, callously releasing her to grapple with the aftermath of a nightmarish encounter. The next day, following the nightmarish events, the elusive suspect and his car were tracked down in Pasco County, Florida, near Wesley Chapel. Faced with the relentless pursuit of law enforcement officers, Justin Evans abandoned his vehicle, vanishing into a wooded area. However, his flight from justice was short-lived, as authorities swiftly apprehended him. As the law enforcement closed in on the elusive Justin Evans in Pasco County, a troubled past emerged, marked by a broken home, abuse, and mental disorders. Evans, posing as a police officer, committed unspeakable acts against unsuspecting victims. On December 8, 2022, he was found guilty on charges of robbery, kidnapping, false imprisonment, and sexual assault. Evans, 37, faced a life sentence without parole. His troubled upbringing, denied vehemently by him, revealed a disturbing journey through foster homes, addiction, and mental health struggles. In court, Evans insisted on the consensual nature of his encounters, despite DNA evidence. The trial took a dark turn when a second victim testified to a similar assault, caught on surveillance. The sentencing echoed the sentiments of Assistant State Attorney Adam Bugg, stating that Evans was unfit for freedom and belonged behind bars. Hillsborough County Circuit Judge Michael Williams acknowledged the victim's strength, stating, "It was a horrible set of facts that no one should have to go through. She was a strong person, a strong witness. I wish her well." Justice prevailed, but the scars of Evans's malevolence lingered in a community now acutely aware of the sinister dangers that can lurk in plain sight. Justin Evans, posing as a cop, received a life sentence for kidnapping and rape. Deceptive Shadows exposes the hidden dangers within apparent authority, emphasizing the need for ongoing scrutiny and reform in law enforcement. What are your thoughts about this case? Please share your comments down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for future cases. You can also follow us on Instagram at Urban Crime Stories. Before we end this video, we would like to thank everyone who has supported our channel, as we have now passed 500 subscribers. We greatly appreciate your continued support. Stay safe, stay informed, and see you next time on another episode of Urban Crime Stories.